What's up guys, welcome back to Pat Outdoors. Today I just want to quickly talk about the 10 things I really love about the new Yozma IN electric dirt bike. And make sure to stay till the end because you definitely don't want to miss reason number 9. First is definitely going to be the design. I just really like the look of the stock plastics and overall modern look of the bike in comparison to other budget bikes in the same category, such as the Tudio Soleil, which is actually the same exact price as the Yozma IN. Obviously mine's a little bit modified. It's got the Suron extended rear fender and ETM front fender and front number plate from my V2 fork from my old Razor, along with RTR handlebars and a few other modifications. But from factory, the Tudio looks a little bit goofy with the flat panels. That's actually the first thing I replaced on that bike was the plastics. I just couldn't stand the way that it looks from the factory, but I don't even think I have to change anything on the Yozma. I think it looks closer to the ETM RTR. I love how those bikes look, though it's definitely a slightly different price category. Second would be the stock suspension. This comes with hydraulic fork and hydraulic rear shock, kind of similar to the Tudio. It was definitely something I needed to upgrade on my Razor SX 500, which came with a spring style fork. Actually, this one's for my MX 650, but it's the same exact design. But this is pretty much just for looks. There's no dampening or anything. The fork that I ended up going with on my SX 500 is a Curb Hopper Customs. And then my rear shock is from Ride or Die. I think I paid a little over $400 for both items, but it's definitely a must for an upgraded Razor. But that is one last thing that you have to upgrade on the Yozma. The stock suspension rides really smooth for street and light trail use. Obviously, I'm using mine for the street. I've got a set of Ride or Die Supermoto wheels and tires on there. Though if you are planning on using this bike for harder trail riding, you might have to consider other options. Third would have to be the brakes. This bike comes stock with hydraulic brakes, pit bike style calipers with 190mm rotors front and rear, which measure out to be 4mm thick. Razor SX 500s and MX 650s, even the $1,800 Pro Spec come with cable brakes, and a common upgrade is actually the Zoom mountain bike brakes with 160mm skinny mountain bike style rotors, which I've done in the past for like 4 of my Razors. Certainly work well for a budget brake upgrade for those bikes, but that's still another $100 that I don't have to spend. The brake levers and master cylinders, along with the brake lines, have a much heavier duty construction overall, and they use DOT fluid. Both front and rear brakes have a brake switch built in, which are connected to the stock controller, which completely cuts power to the throttle if you engage front or rear brakes, which is a good safety feature, though I do have mine disconnected from the controller. Just a personal preference. I think it feels a little bit more natural. To access that, you just take off these 4 bolts to take this plastic cover off, and it's to the left side of the frame. Same area that you would find the connector for the far driver controller, which leads us to the 4th thing I really like about this bike. The stock controllers for these bikes are manufactured by Far Driver and are completely programmable as long as you have a Bluetooth dongle, so you're able to connect to it with your phone. You can just download their app and make changes to the settings on the stock controller to turn up the phase amps, line amps, and even accommodate for a higher voltage battery. I think I got this Bluetooth dongle from Amazon for like 30 bucks. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested in getting one. The stock controller is able to support anywhere from 48 to 72 volt batteries and has a max output of 70 line amps and 240 phase amps. That's definitely something you cannot do with any of the Razors without purchasing a aftermarket controller for a couple $100. You can't even do that with a $2,200 ETM RTR Lite. Electro does offer tuning services for those bikes, though you do have to remove the controller and ship it back to them to get reprogrammed. 5th thing I like about this bike is the top speed. It goes 40 miles per hour with the stock components in place, but that is after I reprogrammed the controller. With the stock controller settings, I was able to get 34 miles per hour on GPS, but I am a 180-pound adult rider, so a small kid on this bike would certainly go a little faster. If you want to get more information on how I made changes to the stock controller settings, make sure you check out my previous video on this bike. The 6th would have to be the stock display. I think it's really colorful and easy to see during the day. Might look a little funny with my iPhone camera, but it doesn't do the weird color oscillation in person. Top left would be the speedometer, top right is the battery life. Over here on the right would be the mode, plus and minus toggles between the 3 different modes. And then down here at the bottom, you can look at the odometer, voltage, and other items. You can also access the P settings by holding down plus and minus if you want to make further changes. Seventh would be the throttle. From the factory, it comes with a Sur-Ron style throttle already installed, which is certainly a lot more similar to the bigger bikes that I'm more familiar with. This is a stock throttle that comes stock on the Tudio Soleil, which functions okay, though it just doesn't have the same tension and modularity as the stock Sur-Ron style throttles. On the display is also built in, which I'm just not a big fan of. The speedometer has always been very inaccurate on this, and a lot of people have reported that it burns out when you go to 72 volts. Though I do have a Sur-Ron style throttle going on my Tudio soon. Shout out to EMF Cole. Make sure you stay tuned for that upgrade video. But that is one last thing we have to touch on the Yozma. Eighth would have to be the stock LED headlight. It's pretty bright at night, and I'm glad that it comes with one in general. I actually don't understand why that has not been a thing for any of these other bikes. As you can see at 2200, the ETM RTR light doesn't come with one. None of the racers come with one. The Tudio doesn't come with one at the same exact price as this. This one that I've been using is a rechargeable one I got from Amazon. I think this was like around 30 bucks. It's just got a couple different modes, which has worked pretty well, but that's one last thing I have to purchase for the Yozma. And I like the stock switch over here. Just one other thing I don't have to do on this bike. Ninth would have to be the amount of bolt-on upgrades that are about to come out for this bike. You already know that we got started on purchasing some upgrades for it. Already got a set of street supermotos from Ride or Die. These were actually designed for a Tudio Soleil, but it actually fit perfectly on this bike. I just used the spacers and 15 to 12 millimeter inserts that Ride or Die includes with their package. Fits pretty tight on the right side over here. Left side has a little bit more gap, but it doesn't rub or anything. I know a lot of people were asking me about the tire size. The listing says it comes with 110, but it's actually a 90-90-12 up front. And then the rear, which is also designed for a Tudio, I'm just using the stock spacers for this bike, and it's worked pretty well. Tire size on the rear is 120/70-12. I'm currently using a 53 tooth rear sprocket. Actually experimenting with a couple different sprocket combos. Just got myself a 57 tooth for slightly more torque than that. And I know Soshin just came out with a FW22 motor upgrade, which we might consider in the near future. I just kind of want to max out the stock motor to see what kind of power and speed we can get out of this bike. Obviously, the stock controller can just be swapped out for a Far Driver ND72-300. It's actually the same exact dimensions as the stock controller. If you want to go with a higher spec controller, you may have to trim the plastics and modify the brackets to fit it, but I'm sure you can do that with some effort. And of course, Amorge already started making direct bolt-on battery options for the Veltinzu EM5, which fit directly on the Yozma. Yozma is also coming out with several different plastic designs if you want to change up the look of this bike, which I just ordered myself a set. Can't wait for my new plastics to come in and completely transform the look of this bike. Make sure you stay tuned if you want to see more of the upgrades. And the final thing I really like about the IN10 is the price. It's currently listed for $13.99, which I think is insane considering how much it comes with. You can even get an extra $70 off by using my discount code, PATOutdoors. If you are interested in getting more information on the Yozma IN10, I'll leave a link in the description for their website. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you like this kind of content, want to keep up with this bike or any of my other projects, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn your bell notification on. But this is going to be it for today. Thank you for watching.